About history. Today I have as my guest Norwich's historian Dale Plummer. Thank you for joining me today, Dale.
Well,
I appreciate
thank you for
it.
asking me.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd like to know if you're going to be having any walks coming up, any tours, walking tours, and when and where.
Well, I don't plan to be doing anything this spring, although there were a number of any walking tours this spring, but we have a number of other activities that I've involved in. Most of my walking tours will be this fall for the Walktober, done by the Last Green Valley. So I'll probably do 3 or 4 walking tours in various parts of the city. I try to cover a wider spectrum of Norwich than people normally see, so they can see some of the great things we have here in town. I'm thinking of doing a walking tour in the summer, maybe in August, early September, and of the downtown. My thought is to do something. I've done it before with Oni, the postal dog.
Only the what?
Oni, the postal dog. Oni was a little dog that was
right.
adopted by the postal clerks in the mail service. He rode the trains, and he visited Norwich several times. We have newspaper accounts of his visit.
Yeah.
They'd meet him at the train. They'd bring him around. They'd bring him over to the bulletin office. Of course, the post office, usually someone would take him home. He might stay overnight and then catch the mail train the next morning. But it's a great opportunity to kind of explore that. And that's going to be a dog-friendly walk, probably in the dog days of August. But I also have
Will there be a dog similar to Omi going for the walk?
Hopefully so. I'm sure we can find one.
That would be nice.
He's been featured on postage stamps, and he actually, after his death, was stuffed and is now in the Smithsonian Institution.
Oh my goodness.
Along with the World War I dog, Sergeant Stubby, is also in the Smithsonian. And the Cher-Ami, the carrier pigeon that helped save the Lost Battalion in World War I. She's in the Smithsonian too.
Did she carry a note, letters?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, yes.
Wow.
Advising them of, the
Isn't that amazing?
peril they were in. Yeah. But lost a leg and an eye in the process. She was badly injured. So, also, excuse me, it must be the spring allergy season starting.
Yeah.
In April and May, and I think into June, we're going to be showing World War I films, or films about World War I, at Park Congregational Church on the first and second Thursdays of each month. So we've already seen several, but this Thursday, which is the 13th, we'll be seeing
A World War I movie?
yes, movie about World War I, Passchendaele, about the Battle of Passchendaele, in which Canadian troops were involved. And you think, well, Canadians.
Where was this?
Passchendaele was in Belgium.
Oh, in Belgium. Okay.
And Canadians were ordered to take this small village and the ridge, which was a strategic point. And one of the interesting things is that a number of Americans actually fought in the Canadian Expeditionary
Army?
Force,
Oh, yeah.
including at least one, I think more than one, from Taftville.
Oh, who?
We actually have a photograph of a Taftville resident wearing his Canadian uniform.
Who was it?
We don't know.
Oh.
That's one of the things we would love to identify. And if any of your listeners have information about, Taffel men who served with the Canadians. That would be
And this would be
of real
World
interest.
War One.
World War One, so 1917 to 1918.
And you have a picture of him.
Yes, it's in the René Dugas photo collection at the library. It's quite remarkable that, it's a wonderful collection of photographs. The library has put many of those photographs on Flickr, which you can access through the library website.
Oh, right.
So it's a fabulous resource, and I would really recommend that people avail themselves of it. They've done a great job.
Yeah.
Again, Otis is really a mecca if you want to find out about Norwich, what was going on in Norwich, photographs, city directories, census records. It's all there, which is great. So the movies.
There was another website that put photos on Flickr, and you could look it up. I don't know if it was the Daughters of the American Revolution, but I came across that information through one of the chapters. I don't know if it was CTDAR or a chapter.
Yes.
But they had put all of these photos on Flickr, and it just went right through each photo. It was very interesting.
Very good. There are a number of Facebook pages that have people submit photographs of Norwich, and other people comment and so forth. I think I can't remember the names of them, but there are a number of very good Facebook pages having to do with Norwich and its history.
Yeah.
So, excuse me.
You need some water? You want to use my water here? I didn't drink from it yet. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
But if I need it, I'll just take some from the other side of the cup.
Another thing that will be happening this spring is on May 27th, Memorial Day weekend. We'll be doing a ceremony at Yantic Cemetery to honor the Civil War veterans that are buried at Yantic.
Oh, okay.
And believe it or not, there are over 370 Civil War veterans buried at Yantic Cemetery.
Oh, my goodness.
We have a group of people led by Vic Butch and Barry Wilson, who have been for years placing American flags on the graves of all of these Civil War veterans. It's quite a task. They are looking for help, so I thought it would be nice to do a little ceremony at the Soldiers' Circle in Yantic Cemetery.
Did you ever read where people used to go in there and picnic back in the 1800s?
Oh yes, my
That's
relatives
very
did that.
That was a place to gather with your friends and relatives and sit and have a picnic, and it was a sociable place.
Yes, well, the whole idea of the Victorian cemetery movement was to make it into, a pleasant place where families could remember their loved ones and so forth, whereas the old colonial burial grounds tended to have, grimmer messages where they'd say, as I am now, so you must be, remember death and follow me, or something, I forget, but, things to remind you of your mortality and so on. But so we'll be gathering, we'll be having a short ceremony, and then we'll split up into groups to cover the whole Yantic cemetery and honor those Civil War.
When is that going to be again?
10 a.m. on Saturday, May 27th.
Oh, I think I'd like to attend that.
Sure, yeah.
Is it free? Or
Oh,
is
yes.
There, oh, okay.
Yes. It's
All right.
sponsored by the Norwich City Historian.
Okay.
So it should be good, and I think educational, and a good fitting way to memorialize these men. The Soldiers' Circle started out with the graves of men who had died at Andersonville Prison. 6 of them, I think 6 or 7, were brought back and interred in Yantic Cemetery.
Where did they die?
Andersonville Prison in Georgia. It was a notorious prison camp where thousands of Union soldiers died at Andersonville. And Norwich actually sent an agent down to recover the bodies of Norwich men who had died, bring them back, and then they have them in a circle around a Civil War cannon. And over the years, the circle has been expanded with, the graves of other Civil War veterans who died following the war, as well as Spanish-American War veterans. So it's, and Yantic is a really, a Victorian cemetery. Well worth seeing. One of our
a lot of history
treasures.
And a lot of stories of
I have
people
2.
that lived in Norwich.
Yes, my great-great-grandmother and great-great-grandfather are buried in Yantic.
No, really?
Yes, they are.
I didn't know they lived in Norwich.
Oh, yes.
No, they had something to do with the Reed and Hughes building, but I didn't know that they lived in Norwich.
Well, what happened was my great-grandfather, John Littlejohn, was from Aberdeen, Scotland. He moved to Norwich in 1885 to work for Reed and Hughes. And then the next year, he sent over for his Scottish wife and their family. They came, but she was sick, died, and he eventually married an American girl, Ada Bell Fenton. Well, Ada Bell's father, Jacob Fenton, had been killed in an accident with a horse in 1879. So she was, the family actually kind of split up. Her mother went to Elmira, New York, but Ada Bell stayed with the minister's family of the First Baptist Church, the Rising family. Met my great-grandfather, they got married, and then they had my grandmother and other children as well. But her ancestors went back, the Fentons went back sometime in Norwich.
Fenton?
Fenton, F-E-N-T-O-N. Like the Fenton.
Where?
Well, the Fenton River in Mansfield is actually named for the family.
Okay.
And through them we're descended from John Mason, one of the founders. Yes.
Okay, Norwich. Early founder in Norwich.
So my Scottish ancestor married a girl with very deep roots in Norwich, actually.
Gee, I had that's interesting.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Exactly.
So I had no idea. You never told me that before. That was a nice story.
So while I didn't grow up here, I actually grew up in Woodbury on the other side of the state.
Yeah.
We had roots here. And
that's why you're a Yankee fan.
That's right.
You're on the other side of the state.
Exactly. Everyone over there.
Yeah.
It's Yankees.
People on this side of Connecticut and north of Connecticut are Boston fans. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah.
But we always knew that the family had lived in Norwich. We had relatives here. In fact, some of them lived right around the Yantic Cemetery. So we know that they use Yantic because of a picture of one of them.
Wow.
Actually, kind of lying, sort of posed on one of the monuments.
Show that to me.
Yeah,
That's
I've got it somewhere.
Gee, I had no idea.
And
that's a great story.
Oh, and also on May.
I feel like I'm on Who Do You Think You Are? Pull out the big paper with all your family.
Well, we've done some genetic testing.
That's a good job. He does a good job.
He does a great job.
Yeah.
And
very interesting.
It shows that everyone is ultimately related somehow.
Yeah.
You can go back.
Surprised. When you take your DNA,
Right.
I have a lot of cousins in Canada on my father's side.
Oh, yes.
You know, yeah.
Well, the
You can find
Canadians,
relations, you know, if on your one side is English or German, they're bound to show up in your
right.
DNA.
Well, and on my grandmother, on my father's side, was from Canada, the youngest of
No, I didn't
14
know that.
children.
Oh, for Pete's sakes, we have a lot in common. I have Scottish in me,
Yep.
and you have the French. And
Well, actually, my grandmother was not French Canadian; she was British
oh,
Canadian.
Oh,
Her family
yeah.
had come over from England, but Canadians had big families. I think really big family. The youngest of 14, you can imagine.
Who? Your mother?
My grandmother.
Your grandma? 14 children. God bless them.
Yes, yes. So
Must have kept her busy.
I'm sure.
Goodness gracious. She must
Well,
have been a strong woman.
I think so.
Wow. I'd like to know, do you know any activities that are going on at the Norwich Town Green? I know May 6th, they're going to have a colonial reenactment at the Norwich Town Green. So if you have nothing to do that day, and, you know, it's a nice day, you should visit the Norwich Town Green and see the Revolutionary War reenactors. Do you know of anything else that's going on at the Norwich Town Green in the spring or summer?
Not offhand. I know there are a number of things planned. They usually do concerts down there.
Yeah,
They
but
have a
I thought there
bandstand.
was something World War I that you were
Well, we have
involved
been
in.
doing it in the past.
But not this year?
We
that you
haven't
know?
planned anything. It might not be until the fall.
Okay, well, that's a nice
Part of the
time
problem
of the year.
with reenactors is that they have busy schedules.
Mm-hmm.
And the springtime, they're going various
Yeah.
places and doing reenactments.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking possibly the fall for that.
That'd be
Plus,
nice. You're going to
World-
be busy in the autumn.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Autumn is always
nice
busy.
time of the year, yeah.
But
I mean, the summertime, the bugs, the bees, I don't like the bees.
there also will be a
I
ceremony.
carry Benadryl with
Oh,
me,
yes.
so-
There will also be a ceremony at the Huntington Tomb.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the exact date, but people should be looking for that.
Okay.
So they'll have a ceremony at the Huntington Tomb of Samuel Huntington,
When is that going to be?
I think in July.
Oh, July.
I think early in July.
Uh-huh.
And also at the same time, they'll have a program commemorating the 20 French.
Revolutionary soldiers.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, they're not.
They're not?
No. They were sailors off of French
okay,
ships
Yeah.
who were imprisoned in British prison hulks in the Revolution. And they did a prisoner exchange between Boston and New York. The French fleet was in Boston. The British were in New York. So British prisoners of the French were sent from Boston to New York. Norwich was the halfway point. French prisoners of the British were sent to Boston from New York. And 20 of them were so sick that they didn't make it. They died here in town. But they were merchant sailors. Yeah, we actually have letters which mention them, and the minister at the First Congregational Church also mentioned the 20 French prisoners. We even know where they're buried in the burial ground.
Really? Oh.
We did a ground-penetrating radar survey
You
and
do?
discovered that they're buried along the path that goes in from Cemetery Lane.
Oh.
And there's
Well, it's still nice to have a ceremony in memory of
oh yes,
the revolutionary soldiers who did perish.
well, and these folks were civilians who died as a result of the war too. So we should certainly remember them. In fact, one of my efforts is trying to identify just who those sailors were.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I'm developing a list of the ships
Passengers?
the ships that were captured and sent into New York. And from there, I'm hoping to find out who the sailors were that
make
manned
a
those ships.
connection.
So again, if anyone knows anything more about it,
Okay.
you never know.
No.
You never know.
No. What you might find, names,
Exactly.
connection to passengers who were on ships and where they might have stayed.
Right. And documentation sometimes is
Documentation.
found in odd places.
Yeah. It's funny how you can go without certain documentation and then all of a sudden something will come up out of the blue.
Exactly.
Like, why didn't I find that before? Somebody, just all of a sudden showed it on Ancestry.com or Family Search or something.
Right. And sometimes, there's a lot of new information.
And you can make a
coming out.
connection, Okay, I would like to know, is there any news about the Reed and Hughes building?
Oh, that should be starting up soon.
Oh my goodness! Really?
Wow.
I can't wait to.
The owner of the new owner of the Warrigan,
Yeah.
Bruce Becker, sold the Warrigan Hotel.
I didn't know. Oh yeah.
Yes, 2 or 3 years ago. And the new owner has decided to purchase and make the Reed and Hughes into apartments, and with a storefront on the first floor. Because for one thing, he knows that many people apply to the Warrigan to live there, more than they can accommodate, and also their income guidelines. So if you make above the income guideline, you can't rent at the Warrigan. But if he has Reed and Hughes right across the street, he can offer some fine apartments there.
Yeah. When do you think we might see some work starting there?
I don't know. I'm actually
this year?
I would hope so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Good.
I'm
That's
actually
one building that its structure is kind of a main part of Norwich.
Exactly. It's really an important part of the history.
Yes.
And also the appearance of Main Street.
Yes.
And once it's restored, it will really it will shine.
Yeah.
So no, I'm actually contacting him about something else, and I'm going to ask him, just when. So I'll let you know when I find something out. But it's been years, and it's good to see. I think things are starting to happen, and we're really making progress in the downtown. People poo-poo it, but there's definitely.
I'm from Norwich, and I've lived in Norwich all my life, and I mean, I've seen all of a sudden, Norwich coming back.
Yes.
The library, the Otis Library, the restaurants in Norwich, the harbor. I mean, come on.
Right, exactly.
It's beautiful now. It was, for years, it had gone down, and the building on the corner there, the Flatiron building. I mean, in the 1980s, that was, I never thought I'd see it renovated.
Right. And now it's
And then you
been,
have the Mercantile Exchange building.
Yes.
It's just, and the Savings Bank, where that was closed, is now running as a church.
Right.
Or Regan. I'm really surprised at all the work that's important buildings that have been,
I think
kept
you're
up.
going to see more as things progress.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Reed and Hughes building fixed, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too. So, okay, I'd like to know if you have an email address, if you can repeat that.
Sure.
In case anybody would like to contact you.
The best one would be Norwich City Historian, all run together, lowercase, Norwich City Historian at gmail.com.
Okay.
That's the one I'm using most.
Your office, the Norwich Historian office, is at the Buckingham
Right.
House. That's on Main Street.
307 Main Street. I'm really...
Can people come there to visit you if they want? Tap on the door and...
I'm generally not in there. I actually spend more of my time at Otis Library,
so
believe
it's
it or
best,
not.
oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
But it's best for people to email me, then I can meet them either at the library or at the Buckingham Memorial. And so...
No, I'm just wondering if how much more time.
Yes, I know.
I ran out of questions.
One of the other things that's happening is we're doing a golf tournament to help raise money to restore the World War I howitzer that was brought here as a trophy, a war trophy. And so
Where's that stored now?
It's stored in the Public Works garage.
Okay, and where did you want to place that? On the Norwich, on the Chelsea Green? Chelsea?
We are probably looking at preferably putting it in a small building where it'll be safe from the elements. The problem was that it was left out and basically it fell apart. So it would be better, especially if we're going to spend, $40,000 plus.
And you'd always like donations for that?
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah.
That would be good. They can be sent, to the Howitzer Restoration or the World War I Memorial Committee at City Hall.
Okay.
We'll be doing this golf tournament on May 24th. And
Where's that going to be?
Excuse me, what?
Where is that going to be?
At the Norwich Golf Course.
Okay, yeah.
It's
a nice...
It's a nice golf course. So they can contact me also
Close
if they have any questions.
Okay, I've got to close.
I understand.
Sorry. It's been so nice chatting with you and, finding out what's coming up in the summer and fall and autumn. So I hope you good luck on what's coming up, what you'll be doing. And thank you for watching my show. Thank you.